And the spotlight is still on the Secret Service, and a number of questions remain, including this one. How did Cole Allen get that close to the President of the United States? This wasn't the first attempt on the president's life. It was the third, as we know, and we've heard about communication failures, coordination gaps, missed warning signs, but it's still raising concerns about what actually went wrong. Secret Service is supposed to be the best of the best. This is the third breach in 2 years. President Trump was quick, however, to defend the Secret Service last week.
I know a lot of those people at Secret Service, and they were good and they were forceful. There's always room for improvement, right? And he got into the building. When you have 1,000 rooms sitting on top of a ballroom, and you have the elevators coming down right near the entrance, it's a pretty tough situation.
Here to react, Dan Bongino, Fox News contributor, former deputy FBI director. Dan, look, we always say this, preface it, we love those who serve to protect this president. It's not an easy job. It's a very tough job. But sure, the way you saw that magnetometer come down and other Metropolitan Police or TSA agents leaning against the wall there, what struck you?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of changes from Director Curran on that front. I think the worst part about the magnetometer, I believe there are 2 units there, the one coming down is not the taking down of the magnetometer. You can shut the checkpoint down if you need to. It's that 2 of the agents and officers, or officers at that scene, were distracted by taking the magnetometer down. I think that's the larger problem. When you look at the reaction of the Secret Service in total, the inner perimeter, you have an inner, middle, and outer perimeter in these security sites, just about at every site, right? If you go look and you see the B-roll on it, you'll see the CAT team responds around the counter-assault team, the SWAT team, and the black BDUs responds around President Trump, and the close shift to him, the Presidential Protection Division guys, the PPD guys, the shift, evac them out pretty quick. So the inner perimeter, I don't really have any concerns with. I think the Secret Service is going to do a really, really thorough after-action report in the middle perimeter. I think you're going to see a lot of changes. One of the things I'd like to see is I would like to see a dramatic expansion of the counter-assault team, our SWAT guys. The time to play nice and, look nice in the suits is over. Let's get a pipeline from the special forces. Laura, you have a 35-year-old Green Berets who've got 20 good years of service in them. They might not want to stay in the military the whole time. The government could use you. Pipeline them right to the counter-assault team, double, triple the size of it, get them at the middle perimeter. Because one last point, what worries me is not the first guy going through who charges the checkpoint like that. Right. It's the second, third, and possibly 10th guy after that. You get a counter-assault team there, you got a real force to hit back.
Just the kind of casual nature of that whole breakdown, it just seemed very odd to me. A question that just regular folks still have. Why did Vance get moved off the stage, the dais, before the president did? Is there a reason for that?
No, I don't think there was any particular reason. I think Vance is just younger, and he's just, the president's a big guy, Laura. You've been around him. He's well over 6 feet. He's got, when he comes in to shake your hand, he moves you. You have to brace for impact like an offensive lineman. He's a big guy. I just think that Vance is just younger, was closer to that side, but they don't typically take if there's multiple protectees at the same site, they won't typically take them out the same way for obvious reasons. If there were a secondary attack at that point, then you could hit both protectees. So there's nothing particularly unusual about how they did it. I just think, the vice president was closer to the side of the stage, and they just got him out there quicker. I didn't really see any issue with that.
Yeah, they moved him off first. Trump, it was a matter of seconds, but it was just, you're used to seeing the president moved off really quickly. But then one of the former agents said, well, they thought he was most secure where he was because of where the agents, they didn't know perhaps what was going on the other part of the perimeter. He was safe exactly where he was. Dan, the president is so loyal to his Secret Service agents, obviously, because they put their life on the line for him every day. Do you think, knowing him as you do, that he, behind the scenes, is asking for a real deep dive here to ensure that when he's out in the midterms campaigning, that this is as buttoned down as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I worked for him, and this is the no screwing around president. I mean, he just doesn't accept second best. And Laura, I want you in the audience to keep in mind, there's no precedent for the threat level around this president. If you imagine the threat as a footprint, we're talking like a Bigfoot-sized foot here. There's never been anything like this in Secret Service history. If there's 1 to 100 threat level, like this guy's 99, and I only say 99, because something else, God forbid, could happen. I mean, there's nothing like this. So he understands that. The Secret Service understands it. And I think I hate the term, reimagining and all this other flowery, euphemistic crap. But I think it's really time to kind of reimagine the threat footprint around the office of the presidency, because this guy broke the mold and he doesn't accept second best. I'm sure he's asking for answers.
All right, Dan, always great to see you. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.